The truth about the Hamilton Lurch, Leonard Lurch. Calloway stepped out of the courthouse a free man. The angry shouts of the public faded behind him as he walked through the crowd, unbothered. The trial had ended in his favor, evidence tampered with, procedures botched, and the justice system too tangled in its own mess to hold him accountable. He had won, but freedom did not mean innocence. He returned to work at the LCBO on Dundurn. Co-workers avoided him. Customers whispered. The lights were too bright, the hours too long. He grumbled through each shift, masking a roiling, calculating violence behind gritted teeth. Every day he handed bottles across the counter like nothing had happened. Every night he returned to a place much darker. That place was a basement beneath a house tucked into a quiet Hamilton neighborhood, a place no one thought to search carefully. The police had been there once. They had looked, but they hadn't found me. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that I was kept there, chained, drugged, hidden behind a false wall that looked like the back of a furnace system. I was the writer who had once made the mistake of telling Lurch's story. The fictional story, the harmless story, or so I thought, until he made it real. He read what I wrote, and he didn't like what I got wrong. So he took me. Inside the dungeon. The basement was cold, wet, and silent. Mold slicked the walls. Rust clung to the chains. I was kept on a mattress that was older than me. The only light came from a bare bulb on a frayed cord, swinging just above my face. I could smell rotting wood and old bleach. When I wasn't drugged into silence, I was listening to the sounds of him coming home from work. Boots on stairs, lock clicks, the creak of the hidden door. He would talk to me. Sometimes he would be friendly. Other times he'd scream about the police, about people watching him, about the woman who got arrested in his place. He said she deserved it for trying to frame him, though it was obvious he had set her up. He was a master of masks. I saw things. I saw him drag bodies down there. I saw him take apart a man while humming a country song. I heard the screams, but no one else ever did. Maybe because the basement was soundproofed, or maybe because no one cared to listen. I watched. I listened. I survived. I don't know why he didn't kill me. The police came once. They came once. They banged on the door and searched the house. Lurch put on a smile, handed them coffee, showed them around. As they walked past the stairs, I lay behind the wall, the drug he'd given me making it impossible to scream. They left. They never came back. And he laughed. "You hear that?" he asked. "They don't believe you exist?" I cried for 3 days. After that, I stopped hoping for rescue. I started planning escape. Escape took months. He kept me sedated with crushed pills and food and drinks. I started pretending to swallow, hiding what I could. There were cracks in the wall, behind the pipes. I started storing the powder in those gaps, tucking it behind loose concrete, anywhere the moisture wouldn't wash it away. It took months. I stayed quiet. I played along. When he let me up to clean the basement or read the news aloud to him, I smiled. I listened. I learned what he was doing, where he went, what nights he disappeared, what bars he stalked, what alleys in Burlington, the mall, the golf course, the LCBO, and always, always the murders. The real kill count. You've heard about 5, maybe 10, but it's more, so many more. Dozens in Hamilton, dozens in Burlington, and even more in Toronto. Lurch knew about the Toronto hunchback, Philip, but he said Philip was amateur. Flashy, he said, sloppy. Lurch bragged about being the original. He told me he'd been killing since the 90s, that he worked jobs in Ottawa, Montreal, even Thunder Bay, that he was part of something bigger, a network, a syndicate, maybe even the mob. He hinted at protection. Cops who owed him. Names I didn't recognize. The woman who got arrested. Veronica? She was set up. Lurch planted the fake evidence she found, and she did have a crush, poor thing. But she never killed anyone. He did, and I watched. The night I escaped. He slipped, that's all it took. One night he got drunk, left the trapdoor open. I was awake. I had stored enough of the sedatives to grind into a powder. I left it in his tea. He collapsed mid-rant. I took his keys. My foot was broken from an earlier punishment,